Hello everybody! Yes, it's been a while, I know. I could get into why I was gone, what I was doing, but at this point we just know I'm just lazy. Sorry. Also, if you would be interested where I've been for the last year, my general thoughts on COVID and everything, I could make like a catching up video, like a separate thing, so if you'd be interested in that, let me know in the comments below. Also let me know how your year has been, so I think it's been around a year since I last uploaded, sometime. But yeah, I know the last year has been a little bit tough on the majority of people, well, because of COVID. And I know that what I'm gonna say is gonna make me sound super shitty, but for me it was honestly the best year in my life. Like, so many good things happened to me, and don't get me wrong, I know that a lot of people have struggled, a lot of people I know have died of COVID. I've been to 3 funerals this year. Usually I go to 1 funeral every 2 years, so that's saying quite a bit. Also, a shit ton of my friends, even one of my students are ill. One of my friends who is young, you know, healthy, strong, everything, she was sick for a month. Like, it's crazy the shit that's going on. Absolutely crazy. However, I did still have a pretty good year, no matter how much of a terrible person that makes me out to be. I had a good time, generally. Also, I was extremely lucky not to get COVID, thankfully, because, well, A, I took very good care of myself, and B, if I would have gotten COVID, I probably wouldn't have lived through it. I've got asthma, I've got tetany, I've got Meniere's disease. My body just hates me. So if I would have gotten COVID, I probably wouldn't be making this video. So I'm pretty happy I was lucky enough not to get COVID. Also, I'm in my, what I like to call my goth lab look shirt. No, I'm just kidding. Goth lab isn't a thing. Lab goth. Jesus. Lab goth. Goth lab. That would be an interesting concept. Lab goth. I mean, because I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of the things that we put in when we're at the lab, and it's crazy the restrictions. Like, I don't even work in epidemiology. I work with the brain and get microbiota and stuff. Although in the lab I only work with like brain stuff, and like we still have to wear masks and those weird plastic things over the masks, and we've got the white things, the whole uniform thing, gloves, everything. It's crazy, but it's needed, okay? There is a reason those restrictions are in place, and those reasons are COVID is deadly and it's shitty, and I know that the media in a lot of places, including the country where I am currently living, is saying that nah, COVID doesn't exist, even though we have like 27,000 new sick people every week. But never mind, going on to more positive topics. Hopefully I'll try to upload this year more. We shall see. We all know by now, if you've been here for a while, that I'm shit at that, but you know, maybe this time. We shall see. But going on to more positive things, I'm starting off this year with my top 6 favorite books from last year. So my favorite thing to do, and apparently the only type of videos I upload on my channel nowadays. So yes, last year I read 48 books, which to me is quite nice. I'm trying to, you know, get up to 50 someday, 50 books per year. I know some people 48 is maybe a lot, to some people it's not that much. I know people who read 300 books per year, which is just crazy. I don't know, to me it's also kind of sad. Sorry, I'm not judging or anything. But yes, so going into the book review, also, yeah, let me know how your year has been. I'd like to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like to hear from me, because I have a lot to say on a lot of different topics. I was thinking of making like a few DIY videos for all the potential baby bats who could be watching this, because if you've seen any of my previous videos, I don't believe in goth marketing and buying a gothic dress that costs like, I don't know, £100 or £200. Like, that is batshit crazy. I believe in making your own things, not only because it's kind of the epitome of goth, but also it's not a total waste of money. So I was thinking of doing that. We shall see. Okay, getting on to the books. My top 6 favorite. This time we have 5 books and 1 gothic, no, Jesus, graphic. Although we do have 1 gothic novel in there as well, I think, but 1 graphic novel. So let's get started. Okie dokie, so we'll start off with the gothic or semi-gothic novel, whatever it is, The Hunger by Alma Katsu. So, straight off the bat, I fucking loved this book. It's fucking amazing. Honestly, I think it's probably one of my favourite books that I've ever read. However, going into it, I was a little bit wary for two reasons. First of all, this book has generally terrible reviews, and I don't understand why, but the reviews are pretty trash, and people seem not to like it as much. Also, there are two trigger warnings in this, and that's sexual abuse and cannibalism. However, cannibalism turns out to not actually be cannibalism unless, you know, something that is not human eating a human is considered cannibalism. To me it's not, so the cannibalism doesn't end up being cannibalism, and the sexual abuse, thankfully, is like, I don't know, a few sentences near the end of the book. It's not really there that much, thankfully. The way I was introduced to this book is that, oh, sexual abuse since page one everywhere, everything, everywhere and stuff, but thankfully no. So, getting into what the book is actually about, it's about one of your weird American treks. No, sorry, not weird. This was a terrible history. The Donner Party route, that's what it's called. I'm sorry, I'm not American, as you can hear from my accent. Never been to the States, and no offense, Americans, but I don't really plan to. However, some of your history things are quite interesting. I've never heard of the Donner Party before, because in neither of the countries that I grew up in, the Donner Party thing was talked about. So this is based on real events. However, the author did take it upon herself to add a little bit of fantasy in there, give her own resolution to what really happened during the Donner Party route. So for those of you who, like me, aren't American and probably haven't heard about the Donner Party, or maybe you haven't heard, I don't know, the Donner Party was basically a group of people who left their villages. I don't remember why, because I read this near the beginning of last year, and they wanted to trek, I think, to California. We have a nice map, so I'll, there we go. So they trekked from Independence in, I've no idea, I think it's in Missouri. I don't know your states, sorry guys. To Sutter's Fort, which is in California, I think. Correct me, Americans, if I'm wrong. And along the way they had a lot of troubles, mostly because they chose a bad route, probably not the one they should have gone through. They got snowed in, the food stopped, and after they got to California, they were saved by one of the party members. There were rumours going around about cannibalism, that they had to eat each other to survive. However, as far as I have read up by myself on the story, it wasn't actually proven that any cannibalism or anything of that sort occurred there, or anything supernatural. It's just one of the rumours going around. But then again, all I know is this book and a little bit that I read up on by myself. I just know the basics of American history. However, what I enjoyed was the portrayal of Native American people here. There were two tribes, which names I don't remember as well. I'm sorry, I should have prepared for this better, but like I mentioned, I read this book around a year ago. It was one of the first books I read last year, so my mind is kind of muddled. It was very interesting to learn a little bit more of their mythology, their beliefs, because they don't really teach in any of the countries or continents that I've lived on. They don't really teach about Native American beliefs and all those things, so it was very interesting, or culture for that matter, so it was very interesting to learn a little bit about it. Generally very good book. I wouldn't say it's extremely scary, however there are some moments that will get like you know, like maybe a tad bit uncomfortable. I would really recommend it though, like 9 out of 10 for me. Really good pseudo-gothic novel, let's say. The second book, and I think I'm going not in the way of reading the books, so from the earliest to the latest. I didn't really think of which ones I liked the most or anything like that. The next book is a rumour by Walter Mears, or Walter Mears, apparently you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm sorry to my German viewers now, if there are any, if I'm mispronouncing it. My boyfriend is half German and he speaks German perfectly, so I should technically know. He's told me like a gazillion times how to pronounce his name perfectly, but I suck, even though I studied German for 6 years. I barely remember anything. I can't tell you my name though. I can say, ich heiße Victoria, ich komme auf Südafrika, ich wohne... I'm not gonna tell you where I live. Okay, never mind. My German's probably terrible. Please don't kill me, German viewers. Thank you. I love you. So, Rumor, it's extremely long book. It's like 700 pages long. I don't freaking remember. Yeah, 700. But, oh my god, this is the epitome of wholesomeness. If you're looking for something to lift up your mood, if you're looking for something to make you happy and feel cozy and wholesome and warm, this is the shit. I generally very much enjoy Walter Merz. Once again, sorry for mispronunciation. He's one of the few German authors that I have read, although I have read a few German authors in my time, because in the country where we live in, obligatory books in school are oftentimes in German. I mean, German books and other famous European pieces of literary art, but this is, I think, the first book, German book by a German author that I've picked up. No, this is the first German author that I've picked up by myself, not to read for school, and this was such a jam. Oh my god, Rumo is just, basically this, it tells the story of a Volpiting, which is this dog-like thing with hornsies, that lives in Zamonia, once again, sorry, I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. I pronounce it Camonia, but the letter at the end from the translator says that it's shit, and you're evil if you pronounce it with a K, because that's not how you do it. So, once again, sorry. And basically it's just about his life and his adventures and how he's looking for love, and then he has to save his love. Like, the idea behind the story is very primitive, I'd say, but the way the story is written is absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful and heartwarming, and just, it's an utter masterpiece, because there's a lot of things that you may read through and be bored and be like, oh my god, why are they telling those stories? Because there's a lot of stories inside the stories, but there's not one single fact mentioned in the book that isn't returned to later and doesn't turn out to be important later. So if you do decide to read it, don't skip anything, because all of those little stories and little facts that are boring and useless turn out to be extremely important to the story itself, and it's such a heartwarming, beautiful masterpiece. I don't think I have one single bad thing to say about this book, honestly. So if you're looking for a fantasy read that's also super wholesome and will make you feel better if you're having a shitty time, Rumo by Walter Merz, highly recommended. Third book is The Evolution of Calpurnia Tate by Jacqueline Kelly, or Jacqueline as we should say in French. I also studied French, however, also can't... I technically speak around 7 languages. I say technically because in reality I forget the majority of them. I'm pretty good at sign language though, that's super cool, and also generally sign language is super dope, and I think it's important to study, but I could make a whole separate video on sign language and my opinion on why we should all learn it and stuff. If you'd be interested on that topic. That is beside the point, sorry. The Evolution of Calpurnia Tate by Jacqueline Kelly is another thing that's just so wholesome. So, I am a scientist, not a published one yet, but I will be a published scientist soon, so yay me. I mean soon, the paper we were writing is going into publication soon, but if we know the publication process, it will probably be published next year. However, technically, well, so I'm a scientist, at least a starting out scientist, but since I already am taking a lot of lab work and have my own, one of my own papers being published soon, I think I can put myself somewhere in the lower ranks, and nothing makes me happier than children wanting to be scientists. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but sometimes I have like kids I know who tell me that they want to grow up and be a scientist like me, and it makes my heart all warm and fuzzy, and it just makes me happy. And that is exactly why this book made me immensely happy, because Calpurnia Tate is an 11-year-old girl living in Texas in the turn of the 19th, 20th century I think, and all she wants to do is be a biologist, but she can't because, of course, girls, especially in Texas those days, you know, you're supposed to be a housewife. Don't go meddling into science and biology, because that's shit. But she is firm, and her granddad likes biology, and so she's like, you know what, Dad, Grandpappy, I want to be a biologist. Teach me. And he's like, you know what, Calpurnia, your brother's a shit, so you're the only one left that I can talk to. you'll do just fine. And it's basically a very heartwarming story about a girl who tries to defy all odds to become a scientist and a biologist in a world that doesn't want her to be one. But it's basically kind of like a combination of stories, like each chapter details a different story, different thing that happened to her throughout the year. And so it's like a compilation of stories, but it's just so beautiful and heartwarming, and absolutely love it as well. So the next book is a little bit tougher, and this isn't something I would have picked up by myself. I mean, I did pick it up by myself, but to this day I don't know why. It's Snow Falling in Cedars by David Guttison. Guttison, however you pronounce his surname. So a lot of you might have known about this book already, because apparently it won a lot of awards and it's considered like one of the greatest American books of all time or something, I don't know. I learned about it by chance, honestly. It's not something I would pick up by myself, because I tend to veer towards cozy mysteries, crime novels, horror, gothic novels and fantasy. I would love to be that person who, you know, reads about everything and every topic, but I don't. I read for fun, and children's books, those are also fun. But this was a masterpiece. Like, it was a hard read for me, but it was also really amazing. It's about, it takes place around the Second World War. It's not based on true events, but I think it's something that could have plausibly happened then. And it's about Japanese Americans living with white Americans, whatever. And basically their relations and how the Second World War and the Japanese-American War kind of influenced their relations. In the middle of it, there's also a possible murder, but even though that's what kind of the book is about, it isn't actually about that, so at least not to me, so I'm not going to talk about it that much. What I really enjoyed about this book is how it tackles racism and things like that, because something that I feel, and I know I'm gonna get a shit ton of hate for this, but as someone not living in America, and the rest of the world really isn't like America, I mean the United States, the rest of the world functions differently, so I understand that like the racism thing in America is a very prevalent problem right now, but it isn't necessarily, at least not in the same way, in the rest of the world, in other countries. So I know that what I'm going to say now may offend a lot of people, but what I absolutely loved about this book that is never talked about these days is that racism works both ways, and here we have the whites being racist towards the Japanese because they blame them for some reason for, even though those Japanese considered themselves Americans, but the whites still blame them for the war and everything. It's fucking ridiculous. But on the other hand, you have the Japanese who, even before the war starts, are already biased, prejudiced and racist towards the white people. Because, for instance, there are two young children who really love themselves, but they are not allowed to be together because the Japanese girl's family doesn't approve of her having a white boyfriend, thinking that white people are kind of beneath them, in a way, I'd say, and that she should marry a good Japanese boy. I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't have the right vocabulary to word how beautifully this book has been written and how important the message is in my opinion, but I think it's important even nowadays, especially nowadays, because the racism talk is very one-sided, I feel, at least in the United States, but yeah, I feel like it's an important issue to talk about, that racism oftentimes works both ways, and the bias and prejudice works both ways. And it's not like, oh, it's their fault that we're racist, or it's their fault that we're biased. Well, no, it's something that we have in our minds and that we should get rid of. It doesn't matter the reason for our belief. It doesn't matter who we're prejudiced or biased against. It's bad. You shouldn't be like that. You know, you shouldn't hurt other people just because of their skin color. However, the book is exceptionally beautiful, I think extremely important in today's society, and I highly suggest giving Snow Falling in Cedars a go. The fifth book is Malice by Keigo Higashino. Once again, sorry if anyone from Japan is watching me and I'm mispronouncing the name. Extremely sorry. This is one of my first Japanese novels, but I decided I want to broaden my horizons when it comes to Asian literature because I haven't read that much of it. And I know it's very different from European and from the African literature that I'm used to. And so I wanted to try giving Japanese authors a go, because I've just heard about a lot of good novels written by them that interest me, and I haven't heard, not to say they don't exist, I'm pretty sure they do exist, but I haven't heard about novels from like different countries. So I decided, you know, this is easy, this is accessible, I'm going to start with Japanese literature. So Malice was one of my first introductions into Japanese literature, and in my opinion it was absolutely stunning. Not only the way that it is written, I don't know if it's written in the same beautiful way in Japanese as the translated into English. I'm assuming it is, but I may be wrong. The language is so beautiful. There aren't as many descriptions, but the language that is there is just to describe it's so beautiful. You feel like technically it's a crime novel, but you feel like you're reading poetry. It's so beautiful, I cannot stress this enough. And what is absolutely beautiful and stunning and new to me is that, you know, in Western society, in the US, Canada, Europe, when we write a crime novel, we focus more on who done it, why did he do it, or she, or whatever, you know. That's what we focus on. This book doesn't focus on that. This book focuses on why. We learn pretty soon who, but the why isn't as obvious, and the whole book is to figure out why. And it's so twisted and tangled and beautiful, and I love that at the end, you know, in European, Western, whatever society, when we have a crime novel, it's all about, well, they killed my family, they raped my daughters, they stole my girlfriend, they stole my money, you know, it's deep reasons like that. This is so unique and so different from all of that. I read a lot of crime novels because I just enjoy them, and cozy mysteries. This is so different, and I have no regrets reading this. It was an absolute masterpiece. It's not a very long book. It's 270 pages. It has pretty big letters, as you may see. So it's a very quick read. I read in like 2 days. Someone who reads faster than me and has more time than me could read it probably in 1 day or half a day, but it's an extremely beautiful, amazing book, and I can't wait to read more Japanese literature, because, I mean, of course, I am not assuming that all Japanese literature is like this. I know that there's a lot of different genres, a lot of different authors, but this one has just, you know, made me so positive towards Japanese literature that I want to read more of their literature, because this was just stunning and beautiful. The last thing, probably my favorite, The Motherless Oven. Oh my god. Oh my god. What? I have no words for this. This is a graphic novel. Let's start off with the way it looks. I absolutely love the graphics. They're amazing. Also, I really love the snarkiness and stuff. There was this one panel that I really enjoyed. Oh yeah, it's this one. You can pause and try to read it. I find it hilarious. It's beautiful. So generally, right off the bat, if you go to look for reviews, people are like, "What the fuck did I just read? I didn't understand anything. This is so crazy." I didn't get that. Maybe I'm stupid, I don't know, but it was very understandable to me. It was very beautiful. This is the first part of a trilogy, so I'd love to get the other books, but all the English language books are sent to Europe from the UK, and the UK is locked down, so no English books for me. Yes, and this isn't in the country that I live in. It's not translated. I can't get it. I don't really know what to say about The Motherless Oven, because there is nothing you can say about it. It's just an adventure you have to enjoy by yourself. The three main characters, well, the main character in this one is Scarpa Lee, who is about to die, because everyone in this world knows why he dies. I mean, when they die, and it's just... I don't want to say anything about the plot, because the plot isn't as important. Also, there's not that much of it, so I don't want to spoil too much if you'd want to read it. But the way the world is created is so majestic and masterful and beautiful. So, I don't know, you build your own parents, for instance, but no one remembers it. Everyone knows their dead days, but I mean, it's not mentioned about birthdays. Maybe there's a birthday. I don't freaking know. You know, it rains knives and there's a laughing hail or something like that. So basically, when there's a lot of wind, it laughs at you. It's so beautiful, so unique. It's just an adventure you have to go through by yourself. There's nothing I can say apart from that. Okay, so those are my top 6 books from this year. This has probably been extremely long, for which I am sorry, but I highly recommend every one of them. They were all beautiful masterpieces in my opinion. So let me know how your year was like. Let me know, you know, what you'd like to see from me, if I will upload anymore. Hopefully I will, we shall see. I am lousy at that. Let me know if you want me to make an update video or whatever. I don't know. And I just hope you're all healthy, I just hope you're all happy, because that's the most important, health and happiness. You get that? Everything's fine, everything's gonna be great. So I hope to see you next time. Yeah, bye bye.